Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for being a viewer. Thank you so much for being a subscriber. Thank you for putting your trust in us by giving us your time. I think your time is the most valuable commodity you have. If you learned something new from this video, please consider clicking the like button. Please also click subscribe if you learned something new from this video and enable notifications. You doing that, gently tapping the subscribe button, igniting the subscribe button, because the name of our channel is Ignition Time, would mean a lot to me and my team. We have new details of the $1.8 trillion proposal from the White House to the Democrats. Before I get into that, I want to tell you that new research from Brookings tells us about the economic impact of a $2 trillion relief package. To be honest, if you listen to this, you'll be like, what's the big deal? Why can't we do a $2 trillion package? Why are we haggling over a couple of $100 billion? New research from Brookings suggests that the economy could return to the pre-pandemic path by the third quarter of 2021 with another $2 trillion package at this time. And without that $2 trillion package, check this, it could take us a decade. It could take us a decade to recover. That is just unbelievable. With that being said, let's get into the package. Let's get into the $1.8 trillion package that has been proposed by the White House to the House Speaker, to House Speaker Pelosi. And this is where things stand. This package is going to include $1,200 stimulus checks and $1,000 per child, higher from the $500 per child that was approved by the CARES Act. That is where things stand right now. In fact, according to brand new reporting from Jeff Stein, the president wants a big deal. This is essentially a big deal as far as the administration is concerned, as far as the Republicans are concerned. The president had said, go big. So as you can see on your screen, the article says Trump makes a $1.8 trillion economic relief offer, but deal with Pelosi remains elusive. I did report earlier today what House Speaker Pelosi's representative Drew Hamill said in response to the call that took place today between the White House, specifically U.S. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin and House Speaker Pelosi. The Democrats want a few more things from the White House, even at this stage. So where things stand right now is that the president 48 hours ago called off stimulus negotiations, and now in his own words is at the exact opposite. In his own words on the Rush Limbaugh show is at the exact opposite, and the president now wants a bigger stimulus deal. So where things stand right now is that the U.S. Treasury Secretary made a $1.8 trillion offer to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi in a renewed search for an economic stimulus deal. But House Speaker Pelosi's team basically said, of special concern is the absence of an agreement on a strategic plan to crush the virus. This was from House Speaker Pelosi's spokesperson, Drew Hamill. And he continued, for this and other provisions, we are still awaiting language from the administration as negotiations on the overall funding amount continue. So this means there's some disagreement also on the top line number. That's where things stand right now. Remember, all this is happening 48 hours after the president called off stimulus talks, and essentially the president has now reversed course completely, and the president is seeking a deal. Remember, at this point in time, we have 25 days to go for the election at the time I'm recording this video. And the president tweeted, COVID relief negotiations are moving along, go big. That's what the president said. And while the president was speaking on Rush Limbaugh's radio program, the president said, I would like to see a bigger stimulus package, frankly, than either the Democrats or the Republicans are offering. Now, wait a minute. The Democrats are offering $2.2 trillion, and the president, through the U.S. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin, is offering $1.8 trillion. So just want to be clear about that. But the president said, I would like to see a bigger stimulus package, frankly, than either the Democrats or the Republicans are offering. So I'm just wondering, I guess the president wants to put it out there as a messaging statement. But when you look at the numbers, $1.8 trillion is less than $2.2 trillion. That was my attempt to be funny, guys. Come on. Don't blame me for trying. Let me be clear. For me, it's not about the red or the blue. It's about the red, white, and blue. I'm not Democrat. I'm not Republican. I am American. I just want to see this happen. But sometimes some of the statements that we hear from the Republicans, from the Democrats, from the administration, they just make me scratch my head. I mean, my hair is, I think my hair is going to turn gray the more I do these videos. But jokes aside, White House Communications Director Alyssa Farah contradicted that assertion, and she said the White House wants to keep the final tally below $2 trillion, and the Democrats are at $2.2 trillion, excuse me. So let me be clear, the new $1.8 trillion offer from the White House is up from their previous proposal of $1.62 trillion, which House Speaker Pelosi had dismissed as being too small, too low. So basically, the new offer includes $300 billion for state and local. Remember, the Democrats in the updated version of the HEROES Act are at $436 billion, and the Republicans previously were at $250 billion. Now they're up to $300 billion. One of the main concerns was, the president's concern was this includes a bailout for poorly run Democratic states. I have done another video where I analyzed where this money was actually going and whether this is indeed a bailout for poorly run Democratic states. So, by the way, this proposal, I know a lot of my viewers and subscribers are concerned about unemployment benefits extension. I've done detailed videos on unemployment benefits extension. The unemployment benefits crash course playlist on our channel is the most comprehensive you'll find anywhere in the world, not just on YouTube, but anywhere in the world. So please make sure you check it out. So this proposal from the president, the $1.8 trillion proposal that was made to House Speaker Pelosi today, maintains a $400 a week unemployment insurance benefit, which is similar to the previous version, the $1.62 trillion version. But it's for a longer duration. So I feel that part is really interesting. It is for a longer duration. Also, the White House's offer on stimulus checks includes $1,000 per child instead of the $500 per child that was provided in the original CARES Act approved in March. So this increase in payments for children appears intended as a compromise measure for House Speaker Pelosi because the administration is rejecting tax credits for children that were pushed by House Speaker Pelosi. Now, I do want to be clear, the $300 billion figure which has been proposed by the White House in this new $1.8 trillion stimulus package is still lower than the $436 billion that the Democrats want, but it does seem like a compromise between the $250 billion in the previous bill and the $436 billion that the Democrats want. If you take a look at how things are happening, you'll see that the administration is getting closer and closer and closer and closer to the Democrats. So regardless of whether you agree with Speaker Pelosi's position, the fact that Speaker Pelosi is staying firm and getting the White House to come closer and closer to her is indeed something that negotiators would say is working. So one other thing, and I do have to give some credit to the whole negotiation strategy that's going on right here, is that approximately $400 billion of the spending within the $1.8 trillion bill would come from money that was appropriated, that was part of the original CARES Act. So basically, an administration official said that money would essentially be repurposed once this new bill is approved by Congress. So the true cost of the new bill from the White House would be closer to $1.5 trillion once this is approved by Congress and then repurposed from the original CARES Act. Now, the question is, what is the reason for the president's change in position, if you will? In the president's own words, the exact opposite of his position from 48 hours ago. It appears that the president wants to be able to change the narrative leading into the election. So let's see if that does any good for the president. But let's be clear, this needs to be matched with the mood of the Republican senators. Republican senators in the Senate have to be able to get behind the president and have to be able to support a bill like this. And given the fact that the total cost of the bill is closer to $1.5 trillion, I wouldn't be surprised if they get behind the bill. In this environment, pretty much anything can happen. So what we have right now is a position where we are 4 weeks from the November election, and the US economy is hitting a rough patch. Many organizations, including Amtrak, including Disney, including several airlines, are laying off thousands and thousands of workers, and the economy has indeed hit a rough patch. The economy is not going through a complete recovery by no stretch of the imagination. You're my viewer and subscriber. You understand exactly what I'm talking about. Almost 30 million individuals unemployed, half of them on the pandemic unemployment assistance program. So, which, by the way, is scheduled to end at the end of the year. pending any further legislation for extension from Congress. So a number of companies have begun layoffs and furloughs, specifically in the travel industry. I've mentioned this before. Individuals in entertainment, travel, hospitality, and leisure, including hotels, have been very, very badly impacted as a result of this pandemic. And also some Republicans, especially those in extremely tight re-election races, do appear supportive of some sort of new aid. In fact, Johnny Ernst, who's a Republican from Iowa, who's in a very tight re-election race, wrote on Twitter that she had spoken to the president and urged the president to provide more economic relief. And this is a quote from Jay Simmons, who's the president of the National Association of Manufacturers. The biggest thing that we need to see in a bill that, frankly, needs to get through quickly is an extension of the application period for the PPP program, because that's so essential for small business. Without certainty of more aid, he warned businesses might, I quote, have to make horrific decisions to lay off part of their workforce. So there's clearly a strong need for more stimulus. Keep in mind that House Speaker Pelosi had started at $2.2 trillion and President Trump had initially rejected talks. The president then reversed course very quickly. Keep in mind that the stock market dived after the president made that announcement, and then the president reversed course. And the president has since been convinced, according to reporting by a lot of political allies, that a stimulus package would be helpful for his re-election efforts. And that was reporting that was according to our sources. By the way, we'll provide you with a link to our sources in the description section below, so definitely check them out. Also, if you're learning something new from this video, please consider sharing the video with friends and family. That would be your vote of confidence in us and all the work that we do. Now, this is an important comment from House Speaker Nancy Pelosi on MSNBC today. House Speaker Pelosi, keep in mind, it's important what the officials say. It doesn't matter where they say it. So this is what House Speaker Pelosi said. Because it is so necessary to meet the needs of the American people, I do hope that we will have an agreement soon. That is what House Speaker Pelosi said. This was in advance of her call with U.S. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin. The call took place. It was a 30-minute call that took place today, and I did provide you the full analysis of what happened on that call. So, where things stand right now is that President Trump is down in polls leading up to Election Day, and the president is pushing aggressively for a new stimulus package after he had abruptly announced the cancellation of talks, not too long ago. House Speaker Pelosi said this about the president's change in position, and I quote, "He got a terrible backlash from it, including in the stock market, which is what he cares about. And so then he started to come back little by little." I'll repeat. And so he started to come back little by little, and now a bigger package. So we'll see what they have to offer. That's what House Speaker Pelosi said. Now, keep in mind, many Republicans are actually very skeptical of whether House Speaker Pelosi can actually agree to a deal that would give President Trump something to brag about leading to an election. And also, there's no guarantee that if a deal is actually struck between the White House, specifically U.S. Secretary Steven Mnuchin and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, whether that deal can actually get the support of Republican senators who are opposed to larger funding. Many senators have opposed any kind of deal that exceeds $1 trillion. We are already in the $1.8 trillion range. And Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell may be reluctant to put legislation on the floor that he knows will not get a lot of backing, that could be divisive for his party weeks before an election. So keep in mind, their priority is a Supreme Court justice, and they've said that. So, also here's one more factor that could be extremely divisive for Republicans. In a provision that could alienate some conservatives, according to our sources, the White House proposal would allow certain undocumented immigrants to get stimulus checks. I'm going to repeat this. In a move that could be a big problem for conservatives and Republican senators, the White House proposal would allow certain unauthorized immigrants to get stimulus checks. So Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell did say that stimulus was unlikely in the next 3 weeks. And many Republican strategists are actually questioning whether this can actually happen. And they said, and I quote, this was a Republican strategist who was quoted in our news source, said that there was substantial opposition to the deal, both within the administration, meaning Republicans, as well as meaning Senate Republicans, as well as congressional Republicans, predicting that a package of around $2 trillion would receive the support of maybe 10 Republicans. Keep in mind, for a package to pass the Senate, it needs the support of 30 Republicans. And according to aides right around 10 Republicans will get behind a package that's at $1.8 trillion. So the question is, can the president get enough support for something like this? Now, I do want to be clear that moderates in both parties, a Democrat as well as a Republican party, have been pushing for more stimulus, for larger stimulus. But conservatives are very concerned about the growing fiscal deficit and are concerned about a large stimulus package. Representative James Comer, who's a Republican from Kentucky, who attended several events side by side with Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, said that despite their support for the president, I quote, a lot of conservatives are concerned about excessive spending. I'm quoting, and I'll continue the quote. Until we get liability protection and spending under control, I don't think a lot of conservatives will be real excited to vote for another stimulus package. That is what Comer said in an interview. So here's a comment from former House Majority Leader Eric Cantor, who's a Republican from Virginia. Again, former House Majority Leader Eric Cantor. He said, I'm doubtful in the end something gets done in a big way. You've got to remember that there are a lot of senators on the Republican side of the aisle who are not in cycle, and one of the most damaging votes they could take is to spend another couple $1 trillion on a relief bill. Now again, he said that they are not in cycle. So what it means when a senator is not in cycle is that a senator is not up for re-election. So what Eric Cantor is saying, that if a senator is not up for re-election and then they end up backing a $2 trillion bill, it's essentially political suicide for them, because their conservative constituents will be upset. Their conservative donors and lobbyists who are on their side will be upset. So there is essentially a political calculation here to avoid backing a large stimulus bill. And also there are principles at stake here, because this goes against their principles. I have done another video on Republican senators who oppose further stimulus, so you can definitely check out that video on our channel. And also, let's be clear, in addition to money for cities and states and unemployment insurance, the new bill also includes aid for stimulus for small businesses as well as airlines, in addition to the $1,200 stimulus checks. Both sides have supported these policies, and they also appear to settle on $75 billion for coronavirus testing and tracing, although Democrats have been pushing the administration for language on a comprehensive testing strategy, which has been part of the reason for the holdup. So there we have it, a $1.8 trillion bill. And, there has been some flip-flopping, if you will, from the administration. The administration has indeed sent mixed signals, and at this point in time, we are waiting for a definitive outcome to this, because House Speaker Pelosi, through Drew Hamill, has indicated that she's waiting for more information. That's where things stand, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. If you don't know anything about me, please check out my video. I have the fortune, the honor, the privilege of living the American dream. You learn about who I am, what my journey has been like, and why you should listen to me. We release videos at 2 p.m. East Coast time most days of the week. That's 2 p.m. East Coast time. Please get your cell phone out, send a text message with the word ignition or with the word time to 70,000. That's 70000. You'll get added to SMS alerts list. You can also, if you want, go to ignitiontime.com/alerts. That's ignitiontime.com/alerts and get added to our email list. You can opt out of the SMS list or the email list at any point in time. No worries. Sometimes YouTube does not send out notifications on time. So make sure you bookmark youtube.com/ignition time. That's youtube.com/ignition time. You'll then be able to view our videos at any point in time that you want without having to depend on YouTube notifications. You'll be able to watch at your own convenience. Please follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram handle is ignition_time. That's ignition_time. Also, please follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is also ignition_time. You'll get real-time breaking news alerts from us on Twitter. We release videos at 2 p.m. East Coast time most days of the week. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Please don't forget, if you want to support our efforts, gently tap the subscribe button, enable notifications. I want you to ignite the subscribe button, because this channel is Ignition Time. Also, please gently click the like button. Just a nice little click. Just a nice little click. Or if you want, just ignite the like button. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. And I hope I have good news to report soon. Whatever it is, it'll be the honest truth. It'll be transparent, because again, let me repeat one more time. For me, it's not about the red or the blue. It's about the red, white, and blue. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm American. We are Americans first. We'll see you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.